The matches over the weekend in World of Warships Legends were exactly what you would expect. Uncompetitive blowouts that were not in any way enjoyable to play. So, while I was sailing on Sunday, I had a thought. Why don't I just take out the ship with the best guns in the entire game? And so I selected the USS Ohio. The result that I got was not exactly a blowout, and normally maybe not the kind of battle I would want to show on YouTube. It's very clear who the winner of this match is going to be. The reason I want to show it to you is because this is yet more evidence that the American 457mm battleship guns are, in fact, the best in the game. I think I've made a video to that effect before, but we were taking a look at the Georgia at the time. And if I remember correctly, I was using Xarkun, New Jersey as the commander. But you might be able to tell by the fact that I have 5 charges of the repair party that Xarkun, New Jersey is not at Ohio's helm for this match. Instead, what we've got is Optimus Prime. And if you know Optimus Prime's skill tree, then you know it's essentially like Willis Lee. He's more of the brawler type battleship commander. He doesn't have any skills that increase the accuracy or efficacy of the guns in any way. And for my inspirations, we have, of course, Kondo and Xarkun Sovietsky Rossiya for extra concealment. So we've got a detectability of 12.5 kilometers. The only thing we have built into the guns is the Epic Artillery Plotting Room mod, the unique 11% dispersion bonus to American battleships. We've got the Epic version of it, so every 30,000 damage we do, the dispersion gets reduced by another 2%. And that's really all you need to make these guns sing. That salvo there against the Conqueror initially is pretty much the only bum salvo we're going to have in this match. The shells fell short and landed in the water because I did not account for his turning away. I guess this second salvo is also kind of bum as well. We do get 1 pen, but it does 0 damage, so it must have hit a module. And then a ricochet. But from here on out, we're really going to see these guns do some good things. Starting with this Musashi, who is somewhat broadside, somewhat angled. We release a salvo in his direction, and the results are going to be at least halfway decent. Maybe not the most spectacular. They fall a little far on the ship, but there's 2 citadels for 50k right off the bat. And that's not even the best salvo we're going to get in this game. Now, of course, we're out here on the flank. There are 2 enemy destroyers on the board. We see some torpedoes come this way, but that's fine. We're going to continue moving our battleship in kind of a zigzag pattern. This concealment at 12.5 kilometers does come in handy for this situation, because we saw that we went dark when our guns were reloading and the firing penalty had worn off. We went dark momentarily before firing again at the Musashi, which means at that time the destroyer was not within 12.5 kilometers of us. He is now, though, because we continue to remain spotted as we push in, so we will continue zigzagging, which should be enough to throw off the torpedoes. Yet another reason I'm spec'd into double concealment rather than any other inspirations on this build. You, of course, can do whatever you want with your commander build, but I think having 12.5 kilometer detectability is, for many, many reasons, which I've elaborated on in the past, very good. But here we see it coming into play again. It gives us a better idea of how thoroughly we're going to need to dodge torpedoes. One thing we don't want to do in a battleship, of course, is sit there bow tanking like this Yamato. Why? Well, our maneuverability is 100% compromised. We could be giving broadside to the flank, and then we take 66,000 damage and 4 citadels from the best American 457 guns in the game. That might be one of the best salvos I've ever had in Ohio. I think maybe once or twice I've gotten more damage than that. But keep in mind, too, we have Optimus Prime at the helm here. Not Xarkun, New Jersey, or any of the accuracy commanders. There's no gyrating drill bits on this build. We don't have Azerlane, New Jersey's skills that increase the citadel damage or increase damage for shells that travel over 10 km. This is the base Alpha Strike on these American 457s, which is, I think, 15,750, if I'm not completely mistaken. That is the highest Alpha Strike in the game, and on the Ohio, we get 8 of these guns. Absolutely deadly to broadsides, including broadsides of Yamato, which has one of the most accessible citadels in the game. Conqueror once again turning broadside to us, and unlike our first salvo against him early on in the game, this one I think I accounted for his turn a little bit better, although the results, not spectacular. We're up to 153,000 damage done, and we're just continuing to push in. Note that we are almost constantly moving in this match. That's another thing I like to do in battleships. I don't like to be in a position where I get stuck and my only choice is to reverse out of trouble or something like that. I like to maintain my ability to maneuver at all times, which is another reason I build into concealment. And also, incidentally, it's the thing that really protects you from torpedoes. Yamato is still sitting there, bow tanking. Apparently, he has not learned that there is a threat on his broadside, and his actions are not doing his low HP pool any favors. We have no spotting on the Yamato. We do now. It looks like his engine's actually broken, and he's going ever so slightly in reverse. So this should be the end of that Yamato. The salvo is out, and yep, he goes down for our first kill of the game. We're up to 176,000 damage done now. There are only 4 enemy ships left alive versus 7 on the blue team. So we pretty much got this game in the bag. All that's left to do is push into the enemy base and farm a little bit more damage if possible. There's Delaware out there. These American hybrid battleships, Delaware included, don't exactly have hittable citadels. I think on that ship, the citadel is completely underwater, except for the section under the turret on the rear of the ship. There's a little corner of that citadel that juts out of the water just underneath that rear turret, if I remember the armor scheme correctly. So, unlikely that we're going to hit that Delaware citadel. We might get lucky on plunging fire at these kind of distances, but highly dubious. We get the high caliber metal there with that shot against the Delaware, and we're pushing into the enemy base now. The last enemy destroyer was previously spotted somewhere on the base, and the fact that we are detected now with an island between ourselves and the Delaware suggests that the enemy destroyer has line of sight. He may, in fact, still be inside of the base, so torpedoes are going to be a bit of an issue. Well, at least torpedoes from the sea are going to be a little bit of an issue. Those skydrop torpedoes, courtesy of the Delaware, come nowhere near us. Unfortunately, it seems that that player may need to practice the lead on those torpedo drops a little bit more, or maybe our slowing down just threw off his aim. But there are the torpedoes from the Shimakaze, and they're set in such a tight spread that I can't even possibly dodge all of them. We are going to be taking one here, but that one there scrapes the paint on the right side of the ship. The one hits us there in the bow. No floodings, though, so it's not the end of the world. And we know Shima has released his salvo now, so we should be okay to push in a little bit more without having to worry too much about any torpedoes. But of course, since there are going to be torpedoes coming at us again in the very near future, what we want to avoid doing is sailing in a straight line, and ideally, if I can turn to the left here, I can put both of these cruisers between myself and the Shimakaze, so I can benefit from their spotting the torpedoes in advance. I don't know if both of them actually have sonar, but if the torpedoes are going to come back in this direction, they're going to spot it even without the sonar, so effectively they can become sonar for me. As for the red team, it's just the GK, the Delaware, and the Shimakaze left, And well, the GK is about to go down. He opened fire on those two cruisers there, and it only takes one or two salvos from them to take him out. Delaware is still at a little under half HP, taking another shot on him. We're nearly up to 200,000 damage done, but I think Delaware is also going to be going down quite quickly. The salvo against him there does not yield spectacular results, but it does damage one of his guns, at least temporarily. And I think the cruisers are just smelling blood in the water and closing in for the kill. Delaware is basically surrounded on all sides now. He's even got a battleship pushing up the opposite flank that he's, I think, giving flat broadside to, which is not good for his HP. There's Shimakaze, and of course, for the first time in this game, our secondaries open fire. What I've got with Megatron is a little bit of a hybrid build. We've got the Porcupine skill active, which increases secondary range and accuracy. And we've also got the secondary mod, but no secondary inspirations. So the range here is only 9.3 kilometers, but that I think is all right. I don't so much mind that. We've seen what the main guns can do with just the epic artillery plotting room and nothing else, so I don't really feel like I'm missing any inspirations for accuracy building into double concealment. The module is sufficient. And then for the secondaries, 9.3 kilometers is still a useful amount of range. We did hit the Shimakaze about 10 times there, and those secondaries should do damage to him. He's smoked up now, and because he's smoked up, he will not be able to see us. We're keeping this island between ourselves and the smoke in case he's gotten out. I don't know if his torpedoes are on cooldown or not, but better safe than sorry. Doesn't look like we're going to get spotted if we come around that corner. I suspect that the Shimakaze is still sitting inside of that smoke screen, even though he's denied himself vision of our entire team. We've got a destroyer approaching, and the only question is, can we finish off this Shimakaze for 2 kills before this match ends? If so, that should be some decent XP for us. He gets revealed by the destroyer, but we're a little bit hesitant on taking the shot with the main guns because I was kind of waiting for the Shimakaze to turn. And because of that, we miss out on the opportunity to sink the enemy destroyer, but we still win the game with 211,000 damage done, 2,445 XP, and I think a nice solid demonstration of really the best battleship guns in the game. I was having a bit of a rough time during the play session when this match occurred, and this was a nice, relaxing, I don't know, it was a good result. So I hope you enjoyed it. If so, give it a thumbs up, consider subscribing if you haven't already, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.